Hi, Gary Galka from DAS. This afternoon I'm going to show you how to use your RT-EVP device with a speaker so that you can actually hear the audible results. To do this, you need a remote speaker, remote amplified speaker, your RT-EVP, and you have to make some fine adjustments. Nothing too difficult. We just have to go in and elongate the playback duration period. So let's start off. Make sure that the lock is off on the back. Make sure that your amplified speaker, it can be this or folding speakers or any remote amplified speaker of your choice. Make sure it's attached. To attach it, you basically plug into your earbud output on the side. I'm going to use this because it's a little bit convenient and it's all in one piece. Okay, let's turn on the RT-EVP device. To do so, you press the enter button for 3 to 4 seconds. Once you do that, the device will boot up and it defaults to the main record screen. Once you're in that screen, you need to go into the menu to adjust the playback duration period. Now, many of you are aware that the RT-EVP can play back in increments from 1 to 60 seconds. Normally when you wear a headset or earbuds, you may want to play it back in 3 to 5 seconds. Well, with a remote speaker it's a little different. It's different because you have to prevent any feedback that might occur between the two pieces. Now what we're going to do is we're going to increase the playback time to about 15 seconds. By increasing it to 15 seconds, that will enable you to ask a question, listen for a response, and then when the 15-second cue is up, you're basically filling up the buffer in the RT-EVP. When that 15 seconds is up, it's going to automatically play back the results. So you're going to hear your question and you're going to listen for the response. Once you listen for about 10 seconds, you simply save the file as a mini file and start again. I mean, if you do hear something during the playback, you can always use the Intelli-Q and rewind it while it's playing back, or you can go back to the save file and review it further. Let's begin. We're now in the main record file, and what I'm going to do now is tap the menu button. You can see it says play mode. We're going to use the up and down arrow on the side, and we're going to scroll on down to record playback. Once you're there, you press enter. When you get to that section, you're going to see the duration of time that's set. Most people may have it already set at 5 seconds. You're going to want to use the up and down arrow and increase that to about 15 seconds. A lot of it depends on how quick you ask your questions. You're going to try to keep your questions at maybe 3 to 4 seconds. Once you make that selection, press enter. And then, to escape, hit the little round button on the side, and we're ready to go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to simulate asking a question. I'll count, I'll use numbers, but I want you to pay very close attention to what I do here, because this particular technique will work very, very well, but you have to be able to get your question in and have enough time to listen for any responses that might occur. So what I'm going to do is I'll be pressing this button here, the record button, in just a moment. Now, when I press that button, just the sound of the button will act as an index mark or a tag for me, and I'm going to be listening to that later because that will tell me when my 15 seconds is up. And that's really a critical thing, because if you let it go too far, you will end up with a little bit of feedback, and that's what we're trying to prevent. Okay, let's begin. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay? What I did, as soon as I heard that little snap at the very end that tells me when the 15 seconds is up, if you noticed, I pressed the record file and I saved it as a mini file. Now, I didn't hear anything during that 15 seconds. So basically what you're doing is you're asking a question, you're listening for a response. Once that 15-second cue is up, it plays back automatically. You're listening for any results. Then when you hear a little snap from this button, you save the file. Now, if you hear something during that listening period, let me show you how you can review that live without having to save the file. Let's do it again. I'm going to press the record button. I'm going to wait for just a second or two, and then I'm going to proceed. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello. 1, 2, 3. Hello. Okay, so there we go. We just had a little mini session. I did a testing 1, 2, 3, waited a few seconds, and I said hello. The hello was there to simulate a little EVP response. But what I really wanted to show you in this particular segment was by pressing the down arrow, I could rewind. If I think that I hear something, I can simply rewind. Every time you press the down arrow, the recording will back up in 5-second increments. That's very handy because the moment you think you hear something, you can review it without disturbing the actual file being recorded. Now, I saved that file as a little mini file. That's going to come in handy because if I want to listen to that right now, I simply just tap the enter button. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello. Okay, so that's basically the recording of what I just made. Now let's go through this one more time so you get a better feel for what just happened. Essentially, I'm creating a bunch of mini files. You can do this with a standard recorder as well. A lot of people do this as a standard practice. The only advantage is that you can now press the record button and you don't have to save the file. If you hear something, you can actually analyze it right then and there. And you can direct your questions, any additional questions, based on the response that you get. Okay, it's a little more intuitive, it's a little bit easier. Many of you have the RT-EVPs and you're not using it this way, so the purpose of this little clip is to show you another technique that you can employ in the field to make better use of your time and try something new. Alright, so let's do it one more time. Power MP3 speaker attached to the earbud output. We've got our file set up. We have the playback set for 15 seconds. Most of you use 3 to 5 seconds using a headset or earbuds. I'm using 15. We're going to press the record button, wait a moment. The record button creates a little tag for us, and we're going to be listening for that to know when to save the file at the end. So here we go. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Done. So as soon as I heard that little click, I'm ready to go on to my next question. So essentially, if you have this set for 15 seconds, you can do a couple of EVPs a minute. If you're a fast talker and you have very short questions, you can shorten it down and maybe get three in every minute or so. I wouldn't rush it. You're going to want to listen carefully. You want to ask questions. This is a wonderful technique to use in a group. So, alright, this is another way of using a live speaker attached to your RT-EVP. Try it out. You may like it. Enjoy and have a lot of fun.